Okay, so in this tutorial, we're going to complete the checking of our hashed passwords. So currently, you'll see that in our basic Flask template, if we go to login and we try to log in as the admin, we know that it's not going to work because currently we're now comparing the password to the hashed password. And you can see that currently in our database, each one of the users, their password has been hashed. So this is the hashed representation of the word admin because that was the admin's password. So what we're going to do is we're going to adjust our login page. And with our login page, currently we're comparing uh, the password they've typed in to the password in the database. Now, the hashing function that I have given you, I've got a function called check password, and it checks the hashed password against the current user's password. So we're going to use that function. And going back to here, I've got the hash password is the user details password because that's coming from the database. And the current user password is the one they've typed in, which was password. So this function now is going to check a hashed form of what they typed in against the password that has been hashed in the database. So now we can go back to, and it's going to return true or false. So now we can go back to our web server. And now we can go admin and admin. Again, I'm just going to type in admin. And you can see it now it's logged in. So it's logged in by comparing that hashed representation. Right, so that's done. Our next problem is when a new user registers, we need to ensure that their password is hashed, which is pretty simple. We're going to go to the register function. And in the register function, where we've got the password and they've put in a password, again, we should probably have some type of password policy ensuring that their password is of sufficient complexity. I believe there is some type of Python library that does that. But for the moment, all we're going to do is let them type whatever they want. Once they have made sure that their passwords match, at this point here, before we insert the password into the database, we're going to make it so that the password is equal to the hashed form of that password. So any new user, their password is going to be automatically hashed. Right, and again, I am going to run that code. So I'm going to go to register, and under register, I'm just going to say Bob at Bob. Oh, sorry, that's not correct. I'm going to say first name Bob, last name Bob, email Bob at Bob, password, I'm just going to keep it simple, Bob, and password confirm, Bob. So it's all just Bob. Right, we submit that. Now I've gone to the login page. I can now type in Bob at Bob. So now I'm logged in as Bob. But what I am going to do is I'm going to log in as the admin page so I can see his details. And you can see that Bob has his password hashed. Okay, so far so good. We're going to do a little bit of tidying up here. At the moment, you log in, but if you've already logged in, you shouldn't see the login page. You should automatically go to the home page. So let's do a redirect. So where we've got the login at the moment, and we've got this point here, we're going to do a redirect. So if user ID, the easiest way is just to test if something is inside the session. If user ID inside session, or maybe we'll just test the permission actually, because that way, as soon as we test the permission, we can actually redirect them to either the admin page or the home page. So if permission in session, if permission or if session and the key of permission inside that Python dictionary is equal to admin, then I'm going to return a redirect to the admin page. Else, I'm going to return a redirect to the home page. Okay. So now I've got that going. Now, the only problem we've got is if the user does wish to log out, how do we allow the user to log out? Well, that's actually quite a simple, there's quite a simple mechanism for that. All we really need to do is ensure that the session is emptied when a user logs out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another handle. In fact, what I might do is we don't need the backdoor anymore. So we might as well just get rid of the backdoor. And all I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to change it. I'm going to change it so that it returns a redirect to the login page. And I'm going to call this logout. And I'm going to say it's logout. We don't need any methods here. It's simply going to be a script that will run and log us out. And to log someone out, all we need to do is actually go session.clear. And that clears the session variable. So it clears the cookies that belong to this particular web server. And that will log us out. Now, the final thing we need to do is put a link in to our menu. So really, on our menu, we want to make sure that the user can basically go to the logout if they wish to, and then log back in again. So we're going to go to the layout template, because remember, everything inherits from the layout template. And as I was saying, that with the layout template, there is actually, in the layout template, you can see that the nav bar, these are the menu options. So we're going to add a menu option for logout. I'm just going to call that log out. And we can determine if some of these menu options actually display or not simply by doing using our session. So if we wanted to have it so that the admin page shows, we can do that. Let's just put in here admin. And even might change that to home, despite the fact it's going to be a login page. We're going to call it home. And for the admin page, I'm going to call that admin. And if we want to hide or show things in our menu based on who the person is, we can actually just use the session, because the session is available anywhere. So I'm going to use the Python directive in Flask, where I use a curly brace semicolon, not semicolon, curly brace, percentage sign, curly brace. I'm just going to say if session, I'm going to say if session permission is equal to admin. And then I need to close the block because otherwise it doesn't know how to close the block. It's going to be an end if. So I'm going to close the block, end if. And that there will make it so the admin link is only going to show if the user is the admin and they've logged in as the admin. And then for the logout, so long as the user has a user ID, you can just say if session user ID. Now, I am slightly worried there could be an error here because sometimes you do need to test if something is inside the session. So I'll find out in a second. I would not be surprised if there is an error, and I do know how to fix it. So that basically says the user has logged in. Right. Let's see how we go. So I've just edited the layout page, and that should affect all our pages. Let's go back to our site. Now, it automatically, you can see the redirect automatically went to the admin page. I can click log out, and it takes me back to the login page. I can log back in. And you can see the admin link is showing and the logout link is showing. I can log out. This time I'll log in as Bob, @Bob. The password is Bob as well. And then you can see I've just got to log out. I click on log out and it goes back again. So it seems to be working. The only thing that we might want to do is when they have logged in, perhaps we wish to hide the register button. Because if they've logged in, they don't need to register anymore. So I think what we might do is just once they've logged in, we'll hide the register button, which we can do as well. So here, we're just going to have if, and on this time I'm going to say if not session ID. So they haven't logged in. And then I'm going to have end if there. So this time the register isn't going to show unless they're not logged in. So I'm going to log out and register shows. I'm going to log in. And the register is hidden. So you can see how I've now customized the links based on who the user is. Right, I'm going to stop the tutorial there. Thank you very much for listening.